So, hello everyone, welcome to Velocity Training. We all know that you are so excited to be starting your careers with us, and let me assure you that we are more excited to have you being a part of this training. If you are an ambitious person who wants to get a massive competitive advantage in this field, you're at the right place to have a remarkable career. We are here to ignite the spark of learning in a way that will immediately impact the trajectory of your professional life. We don't train here with a conventional mode of training because the reality is quite different. And with that outdated trainings, you would neither able to crack interviews nor get much interview calls. And I assure you, after completion of this training, you are no less than an experienced person in velocity. And I know that you have done your own research and survey regarding the packages that the company is going to offer you, and what you have seen is correct because Velocity is the highest paid Salesforce job right now in the market, and it's a hot cake along with LWC. So it's great to have you with us, and we wish you a successful and rewarding career. So this is the Velocity org that we are going to get. So everything is similar to your developer org, but the only difference is you are going to get Omni Studio and Omni Studio console along with, because this is an install package. So if you want to know the package here, you can just go to the packages in the quick find. So here in the install packages, you can see what kind of package it is. So in Velocity, we have different clouds. One is regarding the public sector, health cloud, insurance, telecommunication. We have numerous clouds in Velocity. And this is the Omni Studio package. So this package is already installed within it because we have to request the org. So to request the org, we have to just sign up, and after we sign up we have to provide all the details. Let me show you. So if you want to get the try log, you can just provide here all the details and your email address, your last name, and the company postal code, username. And once you register it, within 20 minutes you are going to receive a mail from the support team, and where there you need to just log in and you just need to change your password. And once you change your password, this will be the org. So generally, velocity is if you want to do something uh, in a configuration way rather than the customization. So in velocity, you don't need to have that much lines of code. So there is no prerequisite for this velocity. So if you are interested to learn it, you can just learn it directly without needing to work on the Apex part or something which is related to the admin part. If you have a basic Salesforce knowledge, this will be enough for you. So here in this velocity, we are having three types of layers. One is digital experience, another one is a service management, and we are also having a developer experience. So we are going to mostly focus in this on this first two layers, digital experience and service management. And within this digital experience is nothing but a front end part. And if you look at the back end part, so in order to retrieve the data from Salesforce or to get the data from third party APIs, so there we are going to, everything comes under in this service management. So this digital experience consists of two things. One is FlexCards and the other one is OmniScripts. So if you want to display the static information at a glance, so if you want to display contextual information at a glance, so there we are going to use the FlexCard. And if you want it to be a dynamic format, so this is what which interacts with the user. So it's a step-by-step guided process which will interact with the user. So that is nothing but the OmniScript. So if I want to change any data or if I want the data to be dynamic, there we are going to use the OmniScripts. I'll show you what is how the flex card looks and how the OmniScript also looks. And this coming to the service management. So here we are having integration procedures and data raptors. So integration procedure is if I'm having a multiple data sources and if I want to call them in a single server call. So in such a way that it avoids the round trips. So there I'm going to use the integration procedure. And if I want to retrieve the data from Salesforce, either if I want to perform something on my Salesforce database, or uh, if I want to save the data or to fetch the data from multiple objects or from a single object, and if I want to trim the data if it contains in a numerous format, so there I'm going to use the data raptor. So this is the significance of digital experience and service management. And if I want to deploy the components to the production, so there I'm going to use the IDX build tool and IDX workbench. So we are going to focus mostly on this first two layers. And if you have a knowledge on Visual Studio Code and Zira, then you can then it all comes under the developer experience. So this is a course outline. And after completion of this, we are going to work on the additional topics regarding the enterprise product catalog and CPQ and order management. So right now, the training part in the enterprise product catalog is the training one right now in the velocity market. So we are going to mostly focus on this EPC and CPQ. And based on the requirement that we are going to work on all these topics. And this is the lab setup. So once you get signed into this org, you will be able to get the credentials. And these are the course materials that are available on Trailhead. And coming to velocity, everything is all the theoretical part is available in Trailhead. But if you want to have a practical implementation, it is we don't have that much of resources on it. So so after creation of this org, so once you sign up with this, you will be able to get one org. So once we get the org, so I just want to build something like uh, when the customer agent calls to a when the customer calls to our agent. So it's like if we want to build something like which is related to customer service mm, or any D2 or any DTH service lines. So there I will just receive so many calls from the customers. So our agent has to verify all the details. So when our agent verifies all the details, it's like uh, it has to open a specific account. So all the account related contacts and cases that are associated with. So this is the interface I just want to have in my flex card. So this is nothing but a flex cards. So whatever that you are seeing here, these are all nothing but the flex cards. And if you want something like a dynamic format, so if I click on this update contact, so here if I want to change something regarding the email or phone, it's like a step-by-step process. So this is our OmniScript and that which displays the static information. So here, if I want to edit anything, we can't edit it. So it's just for displaying the data. It only displays the contextual information. So this is the flex card. And if we want the data to be dynamic, then we can change whatever that we want to make changes. So if we click on next, it will redirect to the context. Sorry, it will redirect to the contacts and with the updated phone number. So if we want to make any modifications, then modifications on the data, then it is good to go with the OmniScript. So similarly, when you are ordering any product in Amazon or Flipkart, it's like a step-by-step guided process. So first you are going to add the product into your cart, and later you are going to provide all your address details, and later it will just redirect to the payment gateway. So it's like a series of steps. So those series of steps are nothing but the OmniScripts in Velocity. So if you have any doubts, I'm going to explain you. Mm, So this flex card not only displays the Salesforce information, it displays all the information which we get from the third party websites or something which is from the external sources. So these are the cases that is associated with it. So we are going to build one interface in which all the account related contacts and cases and along with the weather information, everything will be fetched out based on this one flex card. So all the three flex cards that we are having except this. So by basing on this flex card, we are going to fetch out all the relevant information of this account. So to retrieve the account, so first we are going to discuss uh, about the backend process of the flex card. So here in this dropdown, we will have mm, all the various tools that we are going to discuss about the digital experience and service management. So to build a flex card, here are the components. So these are all the flex cards that Salesforce has by default has provided. And here are the few flex cards that we can create it manually. And after creating the flex cards, it's like you have to deploy it to the to your production org. So here I just want to build one application, and within that application, I'm going to build in the Omni Studio console. And within that Omni Studio console, so here it is going to provide us all the details regarding it. And we have 5-day forecast. So this 5-day forecast information that we get is from the third party APIs. So we can even fetch it from the Google as well. So whatever the APIs that we have, we are going to fetch it, and that we are going to see and while discussing about the integration procedures. So if you are good at CSS, you can just combine everything in a in a single way. So if I want to align them in a proper way, then uh, you have to be knowing about the CSS. So it is going to display the 5-day forecast. So if you want to have a 5-day forecast, so we are going to use the integration procedure, and within the integration procedure, we are having multiple actions. So based on one thing is we have HTTP action. So that HTTP action, what it does is we need to fetch it from the third party APIs, and it will just provide that has a data source to our flex card, and that flex card will just display all the information within it. And based on the condition, we can have a different flex cards here. So it's like if the weather condition is stormy or something like heavy snow, so based on it, we need to have a dynamic image here. So in order to have a dynamic image that we are going to use in the flex cards regarding the conditional, so based on the condition, we are going to have a dynamic flex cards. So that we are going to see in this flex cards topic. So let me take one example. So this is about the flex card, and we are going to see what are the internal components that we are having in a flex card, omni scripts, and the data sources that is regarding the integration procedures and data raptors. So it has the front end part, has this is the front end part, and it is based on lightning, so it takes time to reload. So we can design our own flex card. We can even add multiple images, and if I want to design something within it, if I want to add some kind of extra colors within it, so everything we can just do it just by simply dragging and dropping format. But the main thing that I just want to stress you is always make sure that whatever that you are providing the naming conventions here, just make sure that everything is in a perfect way, because uh, this velocity is highly JavaScript, highly case sensitive, because it is based on the JavaScript. So even if you miss something like instead of contacts, just a second. So let's say if there is a account, and if I mention it as account, so everything refers to a same name, and everything refers to a same functionalities, and everything, and all these three are the same object. But the major difference is, in JavaScript, this is one variable and this is another one, and this is a separate variable. So here we are having in JavaScript, this three will be considered as a three different variables. But in case of Apex, it's like everything is considered to be a single variable, such as everything is a single object. But in case of Apex, in case of JavaScript, all these three are three different variables. So my suggestion is, whenever that whatever the naming convention that you are providing, make sure that it is in perfect alignment with the backend source, um, because in the backend source we are having the naming convention. Based on the naming convention, it will just map with the flex card and it is going to show the value of it. So in data raptors, if I have an account ID, and let's say for example this is 001, and so this is my account ID. And if in FlexCard, if I mention it has account, so if I want to relate the backend source to the front end, and if the name seems to be account, which is in the lowercase, so if the A is in the lowercase instead of uppercase, then it is not going to match with the FlexCard. So you may wonder that you have provided the perfect information, and whatever the information that you have provided is perfect. And even if you check it multiple times, it seems to be all okay. But you have a doubt that it is not displaying on the flex card. So later you come to know that whatever that you have provided here in the lowercase, make sure that you have provided in the uppercase. So even this kind of silly mistakes are what going to cause a big trouble in while working on this velocity environment. So this is the 80% of the problems that you will be getting in velocity is based on the naming conventions. So if you don't have a proper naming conventions, then all the problems that you, so it's like everything is interrelated with it. So if I want to interlink with the data raptors and integration procedures, so whatever the flex card that we are going to build, it is completely interlinked. So even if there is any mistake in either one of the element that you have provided in the naming convention, it is going to hamper the entire structure. So the entire structure that you have built will get collapsed. So without it, you can't fetch the information of it. So always make sure that that you are going to provide the proper naming convention for each and every element. So this is the backend process. So where we would like, so here we are going to build. So this is nothing but the canvas, and this is the header. So if we want to build something, if we want to build something in the flex card, such as if I want to add some kind of images onto it, or if I want to have some customization details within it. So everything will be built in this backend process. So this is the canvas on which we are going to build it. And these are the elements that we have. So if there is a business requirement that if they want something like in the interface, if they want the menu, and that menu contains some kind of multiple actions. So when we click on it, it has to display me a set of actions. So if I click on this menu, we are having two actions. So if I want to have some kind of set of actions within it, so when we want to just group them in uh, under the menu, then we are going to just drag and drop it. So this is the flex card that we have built. So if you want to look at its components, so these are the components. So everything that we have in velocity is a drag and drop. So if I want to add some kind of action, so action is if I want to navigate to a, if I want um, on click, if I want to navigate redirect to a web page, or if we want to open something which is omniscript, or if I want to perform some kind of actions. So it's like a kind of a button. So on click, it has to redirect or it has to open something uh, which is relevant to perform some kind of actions. And if I want to display all the elements and if I want to group everything in a single block, so there I can just use the block element. So to display the data in the format of table, we can just we can just drag and drop it onto the table. And if I want to add some kind of icons like this, I can just simply drag and drop it. If we want to add the images and based on the condition that we want to display a certain flex cards, so everything will be dealt with this component in these elements. And if you are well aware of CSS, then you can just work on all this and you can just design in the customized way. So this is the design, this is the design. And if I want to know how it looks when we deploy this component to the production, so this is how it looks. So when I deploy this component, it will just look like this. So whenever you are testing that whether your flex card looks fine or not, so there you can just go to the preview and just you can look at uh, how it looks in your when we deploy this component. So this is how it looks, and when I deploy this, it will look like this. So later, if I want to work on some few modifications and if I want to have some kind of customization on it, I can just go to the design. And if I want to add some kind of extra functionalities onto the flex card, so simply I can just from the build, I can just simply drag and drop. And if we want to create a flex card, so as of now, I'm showing you the what are the components that are available in flex card. And now if we go to the OmniScript, so this is the second digital layer, digital experience. So mm, so if you, this is the front end, so it's like whatever the data that we are having is will comes in the format of a JSON. So if you are well aware of JSON, then uh, velocity is a very simple part for you. It's a mm, so if even if you are not familiar with JSON, we are going to explain you how the JSON looks and we are going to make it much more simple instead of making it things complicated. I'll just explain you all the things that you can resolve on your own. So refresh it. But so I'll just make all the things clear. But one thing is you need to practice it at least 2 times. So once after watching the tutorial, it's like you will get some kind of clear picture. And later what you have to do is you just need to practice it twice. So once you get familiar with all those components, even though the requirement is like they provide you any kind of complex scenarios, you could be able to notice what are the functionalities that are available and where you just need to navigate to. So everything you can just work on your own. So always make sure that give the proper naming conventions. So if you give the proper naming conventions, almost 80% of the bugs that you have in velocity will be cleared. So this is the topic that we are discussing as of now is velocity platform essentials. So after completion of this velocity platform essentials, we are going to deal with the velocity EPC. So this is the OmniScript. And similarly in the flex cards has, this is the canvas and this is the header. And here also this is the header and this is the canvas. And onto this canvas, we are just going to drag and drop all the functionalities that we have in this OmniScripts. So these are the types of actions that we have. And if I want to, so if I want, so if I couldn't be able to do it using the configuration way, if I just want something like a customization way that I need an Apex code to to build this OmniScript. In that case, I'm going to use the remote action. So if I want, based on the remote action, if I want to create few components, so based on the Apex class, if I want to call it, there we are going to use this remote action. We just simply need to drag and drop this functionality onto the canvas. And set errors and set values, these are kind of validation rules that we have in Salesforce. So it just validates the data. If there is anything error that we are providing, or if we don't provide something like we don't provide the data, so it is going to stop us and notify us that we have to submit the data. So similarly, if you order something, if you order a product in Amazon or something which is on a web service, so without providing the address, you just made the payment and you just purchase the product, that doesn't make sense. So for that, you need to provide your shipping address and billing addresses. So once you provide the address, it is going to, so you will, after providing the address, you could be able to receive the product that you have ordered. So without providing the address, it's like something the customer goes in a different way. So we don't want customers to go in their own way. We just want them to move in the way that we design. So first they need to add the product to the cart, and later they have to verify all the pricing that the product has, and how many products that they want to order, and to which address they want to uh, they want the product to be sent. And later we need to provide the payment option. Either we can just want them to, so we are going to store the info. So if we look at the Amazon, it's like it is going to store the information of the credit cards and previously what we have done using the net banking. So everything that we are going to provide it, so on click it has to redirect to a payment gateway. So this is the OmniScript. And to valid uh, and to hold the customer to move and to proceed further. So there we are going to use the set errors and set values for the validation rules. And we have HTTP action to call something out from the external APIs. And these are the data raptors. So I'm going to explain you about the data raptors as well. And if I want to send something like an email to a specific person, there I can use this email action. And if I want to delete something in my Salesforce database, so there I can use the delete action. So don't worry, we are going to come across all these topics and functionalities that we have. I'm going to cover all the functionalities in this. And these are the components that we have in sales in OmniScripts. And I'm going to explain you the difference between action and function. So this is the function. And if I want to group all the elements in a single block, so these are the grouping elements. And the inputs, either if we want to add some fields onto the OmniScript. So these are the kinds of data types that we have. So if I want to build a OmniScript like that the customer has to provide their email address and their first name and last name and phone. So everything will comes under this inputs. So if you have a basic Salesforce knowledge, you will come across this data types while creation of a field. And if I want to embed an OmniScript within another OmniScript, I can just simply drag and drop it into my OmniScript. So this is the components of OmniScript. So if I click on preview, so it is going to display me the options. These are nothing but the radio buttons. If we click on next. So if we have anything in the data source, so this is the data entry error. So if I provide something within this data source, let's say in the context ID, let's copy this record ID. And this context ID is nothing but which is a environmental variable, which is equivalent to the record ID. So generally we use this for the testing purpose. So when the data is filled, so when we have the data to be, when the data is filled, it is going to show us everything's fine. And if we don't provide the data, it auto reloads itself. So now if I click on next, so it shows me that data entry error. So this kind of validations that we are going to work on creating the OmniScript. So here in the action debugger, you can see what are the data source that we are getting from. So this action debugger is, so as of now, we are getting a data source onto it. So to get a data source onto it, we need to see what kind of data that we are getting. So here in the request data, so what you are seeing here is everything is an environmental variable. Don't worry, we are going to discuss much more in depth about it, and you will come to know about each and every parameter that we are having here. So this is how we are going to work on the OmniScripts. And now let's go to the integration procedures. So here in the integration procedures, we have groups and actions. So if I want to group all the actions within the, I hope you are all aware of conditional block, loops, try catch. Even though if you are not aware, I'm going to explain you about it. And we have the actions. The actions that we have in the OmniScript, uh, almost all the actions that we have in this integration procedures. So if I want to send the data, if I want to perform something regarding the email action. So if I want to perform the email action, so such a way that it has to be sent to, the data source has to send an email to all the users. And later the modification is, I don't want the email action. Uh, I just want to have a different action, such as I just want to fetch out from the other third party websites on, and I have to send it to the users. So if so, it's like we have to create two different actions and we have to assign it to the users. And if I want later, if I have a requirement that I need to work on the Salesforce database, and if I want to have some kind of uh, chatter action, and if I want to call something Apex class from it, so that we can't do. For that we can have a different that for that we have to create a different actions, and we have to assign it to a single flex card or to the OmniScript. So that we can't do individually. So instead of doing everything individually, what we can do is we can just wrap it up and we can just send it as a data source to the flex card or to the OmniScript. So to wrap up all those multiple actions, because if we do everything in an individual part, it's like it every time the server has to collect all the information from the backend and it has to display to the front end, and every time it makes a call to the backend and it has to display on the front end, it causes some kind of round trips. So when it happens, it causes a delay in the performance, and we couldn't be able to get that maximized performance, and it takes so much of time uh, to retrieve the information, and that causes a load onto our servers. So instead of that, what we can have is we can just call all these actions in a single server call. So to call that single server call, to prevent the round trips and to maximize the performance, we are going to use the integration procedures. So here in the integration procedures, we are calling multiple actions. So if you see here, we are calling a data raptor, set values. We are calling two different HTTP actions. And we are also performing two different data raptors. One is data raptor transform, other one is data raptor extract, and the response action. So this response action is, so whatever the flex card or OmniScript that has called this integration procedure, it is going to send back all the information that it has received. So if we click on execute, it is going to display us the information. Don't worry about it. Definitely you will come to know about what as this kind of a data structure. We couldn't be able to you might think that you couldn't be able to understand what we are having here. There's something like date and high low temp f condition sunrise that you couldn't be able to know about it. So so this is the data that we are going to build it on our own. So I'm going to provide you uh, the real time. I will provide you some kind of examples and the concepts that what we are going to use here. So everything I will just provide you so that later you can just work on it and you can just build your own data source. So this is the data source, and if I want this data source to be implemented on the omniscript, just by having the data is not enough. We need something that to display the information. So to display this information, we have a flex card. So here you can see the flex card. So the data that we are getting here, so generally the flex card doesn't have the data source on its own. So we need to provide the data source for it. So here you can see we have Roosevelt Island, New York, and temp F sunrise, temp C condition, broken clouds. So this is so here you can see Roosevelt Island, and this is the present temperature. So current temperature is it is, and this is the condition for the forecast information. And when we have the forecast information, don't worry about it. I'm going to explain you each and every functionality that we have. So if you want to know whether your integration procedure or a data raptor or FlexCard or OmniScript, that is whether it is working or not, you can just go to the preview and you can just preview it, whether the data works fine or whether the components that we have added is having a perfect functionality or not. Everything will be seen in this preview. And this is the integration procedure. Everything is simply a drag and drop functionality. And now let's go to the data raptors. Or else we can just redirect to the data raptors from here itself. So these are the data raptors. Mm, let's pick one data raptor. So here we have the formulas and preview. So if we execute this, we could be able to get one response from it. And don't worry about it. So this is the data raptors. Generally in the data raptors, it is of 4 types. One is, let me show you. So generally the data raptor is of 4 types. One is extract, turbo extract, load, data raptor post action, and data raptor transform action. So if I want to extract the data from Salesforce database from single object, if I want to extract the data from a single object, so there we are going to use the data raptor extract. Sorry, data raptor turbo extract. And if I want to extract the data from multiple objects, there we are going to use the extract, and the turbo extract is to extract the information from a single object. And data raptor post action, it is to save the data. And if I want to save something to the Salesforce database, so there we are going to use the Salesforce data raptor load and the data raptor transform. If I want to trim the data and later if I want to make some modifications onto it, there we are going to use the data raptor transform. And the input type, either we want to receive the data from either in the format of a JSON or in the format of an XML or custom. So so the most recommended way is uh, we just need all the data to be in the format of a JSON while we provide the data to the Salesforce database. And either if we want the data to be output type, either we want to save the data or to load the data, either in which format that we want, that will be provided here in this output type. So either we want it to be a JSON format or an XML format. These things we are going to discuss about it much more in detail when we come across the data raptors topic. So this is about the creation of data raptor. So if you want me to create it, example data raptor, and if I want to have the extract or transform or load, we can have it. So I'll just have a extract path, and if you want to provide the description to it, you can just provide it. So here in the add extra step, so we need to select one object. So if you are good at SQL queries, so in the Apex development part, if you are good at SQL queries, and then you can just work on this data raptors. So if I want to fetch out the information from the account and this extract output path, so it is going to provide a JSON node for it. So based on it, it is going to get mapped with the integration procedures and the remaining things. If I want to group them, in the account, then I can just group them. So I just want to provide the account. We can just provide whatever the naming convention that we want. So here in the filter, that whatever the fields that you want to fetch out. So it's like select, let's say select account number from account where. So this is the condition. So it is equals to, here we are having a numerous operators. We can perform SQL queries and social queries, and if the account number is equals to a specific number, so it's like a where condition. So if you provide the where condition, so it is going to fetch out all the information. So after it fetches out all the information, here in the output we just need to map certain fields into it. So here I just want the account source, and in the output JSON type, so whatever the flex card or omniscript that has called this data raptor, so here in the output JSON path, it is going to map with the flex card or the omniscript elements, and it is going to provide the data source that we are getting from it, and it is going to map it to the uh, omniscript and integration and to the flex cards. So this is how we are going to do the mappings. And after you have mapped all the multiple products, so this is how we will just map it. So current city state to the current city state. So these are the components. So these are the components that I have in FlexCard. So it has to map with all the functional. It has to map up with all the functionalities. So this is the input JSON. So similarly, that what we have provided in the data source, here also we are going to provide them, and we are going to map it with the output JSON type. And once we provide them, and later if we want to combine all of these things, if I want to concatenate it, so I hope you are all aware of concatenation when working on the Apex programming. So if I want to concatenate, so I can just concatenate with the different values. So here in the, when you click on the execute, it is going to provide the response for it. So this is totally about the data raptors. And if I click on it, so here we have the input JSON path. So that we just need to extract from the Salesforce or either from the external parties. And I just want to map it internally to the flex cards. So not only to the flex card, to the omniscript as well. So we can just mention its name, and similarly, whatever that we have, whatever the conditions that we want to display, and what the information I just want the customer to look at it. So I can just design everything using the data raptors. So this is the output path, and this is the input path. And after you design the data source, so this is the data source that we have. We have the condition state, high-low temp, high-low temp F. So if you look into the preview, here you have the high-low temp condition and the date, And if we need to add some other functionality regarding the sunrise and different different variables that if we want to add, then we can just add them. But here I just want only the four parameters. One is city state, and the other one is tempf, tempc, and condition. So condition, date, tempc, and tempf. So likewise, we can display multiple information at a glance. So it has to perform one action. So when I click on it, it will perform the action. So and we can view whatever the conditions that we are going to see in on 29th. So it's a kind of weather report that we can do it using the velocity. And these are the cases that it is associated with it. And later, if I want to update the case, so if I want to close the case, or if I want the case to be working on, or if it's a new case, we can change the subject and we can just change the status. So when we change the status, it is going to redirect us to the case page. So here you can see the status as working. So this is how the OmniScripts works. So finally, we are going to build on this interface, and I'm going to provide you a few assignments that you need to work on, and I'm going to provide you the materials for it. So later you can just work on all these things, and you can just have a hands-on practice on it. So definitely after completion of this course, I'll make you an experienced person. So whatever that you come in most of the real-time projects, so those things we are going to provide you. And these are the study. And if you are planning for a certification part, so these are the certifications. So Omni Studio Developer, Consultant, and CPQ Developer. And this is for the LWC that you all are aware of. So after completion of this, so whatever the questions that you are getting in the certification, so whatever the questions that we discuss in the class, almost all those questions will be appearing in your certification part. So you don't need to worry about the certification part. So whatever the concepts that we discuss, all those questions, if you are clear about it, and I'm sure that you are definitely going to crack the exams for both the developer and consultant. And CPQ developer is when we come across the CPQ topics, there we are going to use the CPQ developer. But before that, make sure that you have that you are certified developer. And in order to appear for this, make sure that you are either an admin certified or a platform developer one certified. And when you are aligned to any project in your company, so it's like you are going to get assigned to either one of these three teams. So either you will be working on order management, or you will be assigned to a enterprise product catalog. So these are the add-on topics that we have. And in the velocity, we have multiple modules within it. So even we have ESM, which is enterprise sales management. We have CLM, contract lifetime lifecycle management. We have multiple topics. So if we are good at one topic, then that will be sufficient for us. And within this velocity, as I told you, we are having multiple clouds, which are having more than 10 clouds that we have in velocity. So we just need to work on the, so based on the project, if it's regarding the insurance, then it will be a different, there you will be using a different functionalities. And in case if it's energy and utilities and media and communication, public sector, health cloud, telecommunication, likewise we have multiple clouds within this velocity. So if you are familiar with one topic and one cloud, then that would be sufficient for you in the projects. So you are not going to handle all this clouds and all these modules that we have in this velocity. So it's better to work on one cloud, that when you come across the projects, and later if you work on one additional topic, that if you master one additional topic, then it would be a sufficient for you. So that is about it. So that doesn't mean you don't need to learn all these topics, but it's to have some extra effort on one topic that will be sufficient for you. So this is about the velocity, and these are the training content that we have. So after completion of the each session we are going to have some kind of what you are going to do is uh, you're going to learn about this. So once you learn it, you will get familiarized with the terms that we are discussing, that we are using here. So if I ask you about what is the context ID, it's like you must be aware of what is a context ID. And if I was telling you about this is the testing phase and these are the environmental variables that we are having in this action debugger, so you must be familiar. So later it will make you that you are well aware of those terms earlier. So it's like after completion of each and topic, so I'm going to provide you this as an assignment, so you can just learn whatever the terminologies that we are using, so you can just get familiar with it. And this is the course content. So after working on this, you could be able to work on all the project requirements that you have. So uh, this is totally about the velocity. So it's where you don't need to use any code, but if the requirement is, if you need to, if the client requirement is, if you need to build something that in their own customized way, so they want some additional functionalities, like they want something like a pop-up that whenever the customer registers to the sign up to the website, it has to display something like a congratulations, and it's a kind of a something which is pop over on the screen. So if they want those kind of requirements, then we have to go to the LWC. So mostly almost 80 to 90% of the functionalities that the client requires, everything will be done using this drag and drop functionalities. So if they want something in a customized way, then we definitely need to go to the LWC. So as the velocity is completely a JavaScript based, so having a knowledge on JavaScript will be an added advantage for you. So this is totally about the velocity. So if you have any doubts, you can just ask me. So that's it. Okay.